That's so weird.
I
That's
know.
here.
Well, see, now I'm nervous. Do you think they didn't? But you got the.
I just clicked on to my Google because we said 8 o'clock. I just clicked on and then it was there.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
They can click in, right? After we're going.
Yeah. Yeah, I sent it to them. I don't know.
And it does say somewhere that as long as you are with one person counts. So
Okay. And they can just rewatch this anyways if they need to. So do you just want to go over the study guide that she talked about? Because I feel like those are a lot more directive and what is actually, unless you feel like there's a few things on that list. I had only glanced over. I didn't actually do the.
Well, some of them it's going to be hard to study. Like the first one says, given a scenario about a family, so we don't know what that's going to be. It says, be able to talk about how you would use a theory of your choice to describe what's going on in the family and predict how to best help the family according to the concepts in that theory. Also, be prepared to use a theory not of your choice to do the same thing with the same scenario. So you can't really study for that because you don't know what the scenario is going to be. You just have to know the theory.
You just better know the theories.
Yeah, and they're all kind of like that. Choose 2 theories, and I'll choose a third and discuss the main critiques.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe, yeah, let's just go over the study guide and then.
Okay.
So inductive and deductive reasoning, is that what you have first?
Yeah, the Wallace wheel.
And yeah, the deductive, that's just it goes from a theory to the hypothesis, then to designing the research. And inductive is the opposite, right? Observation, generalization, and then theory.
Yep.
And the Wallace wheel, because she always says, the Wallace wheel is the deductive and inductive theory, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's not that, maybe I'm mixing up classes. It's not the one that she keeps saying, look back at the infographic.
No. It's the same class, the infographic.
Oh, I'm like,
and it just keeps saying look back, and I think they're trying to get us to look at the pictures and try to figure out from the picture. It's like, oh yeah, that's conflict. You can see it in their face, or you can see, the warning or whatever. But yeah, you should see my notebook. All of these pages. Yeah, that's all my notes.
You know what? Good for you. You really internalize this, I can tell.
Well, I heard more stories about this one, and so I really tried to learn the theories. They're like, just know the theories. You're gonna have to know them inside and out. So I'm like, and this class, this isn't as bad as the ones ahead of us.
Do not remind me. Oh, it's like in 2 weeks I start the terribleness.
Oh.
Okay. The next thing was positive and negative correlations. I forget.
Okay, I need to talk about that one because that one, she said to look at the YouTube video, which I didn't do yet.
I haven't.
But I missed that on the first quiz on the positive and negative correlations. So I think I have, what is that still from?
Is it in somewhere in the book? Because I have the book. I
don't think it was in the book. I think it was from Brother Gardner's talk. Let's see if I can find that. But I remember going, I got this backwards. Oh, those were the ones where, like, she said identified on the graph, and the graph on the quiz was the one that had words that didn't correspond to the, do you remember that quiz question? It said something funky and it didn't match up, and I'm like, this makes no sense at all. And I just had a little note in here about.
Probably missed it somewhere.
And of course, I won't be able to find it right now because
that's okay. If you can't, just don't even worry about it.
Yeah, but it was something. It was like, positive correlation would be something like the more a husband and wife spend time together, the stronger the relationship's going to be. They're both going up. And then, do you remember those?
Yeah.
Yeah. But on the graph, the graph threw me on the.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yes. I missed that also. I didn't understand it.
Yeah, and when he was lecturing, I just took like a quick little note. And I'm like, oh, okay. Let's see.
Okay. So it does say the look back at lesson 2 resources folder.
Lesson 2.
Let me see all the right space.
Really make that. 400. Oh, let's see. Those are. Okay, so I have it labeled wrong. No wonder I couldn't find it. So the example was, as long-term commitment increases, chances of divorce decrease, and that's a negative covariation. I can't even read my own writing.
So is that the same thing? I thought she said correlation, or is that the same? That's probably the same.
It's supposed to say correlation. I just wrote covariate. I don't know what I wrote. I was writing fast, obviously. And then it says, as one goes up, the other goes down, is a negative correlation. So if they're both going in the same direction, are they both positive? Even if they're both going down, let's see. As common values increase, chances for divorce decreases, and that's a negative proposition. If propositions, are they the same thing as correlations?
I'm not sure. And I'm also looking at the resources, like she said too. And I mean, the only videos that are here are like deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, finding truth. What is a theory? There's nothing that specifically talks about. They probably do within the videos, but probably
like 2 sentences.
Yeah, right. But
you're like,
yeah. Okay, I'm not entirely sure. I'm sorry. We can.
That's fine. I just have like positive correlations when they both go up, but I don't. The graph thing's going to throw me because it threw me last time.
Oh, I know.
Graph thing threw me.
I'm trying to see. Okay. Okay. Well, let's just move on from that, and then we can post it on the discussion board if we find, and maybe others. We can just ask, and others can.
Yeah. I'll post a question. It counts as one of our posts.
I know. That always confuses me.
I wrote that on the evaluation form. I'm like, really? Some of these things are really lame. I mean, really, I'm going to take the test. I took the test. Really? I mean,
yeah.
I know it's not the teachers.
Very tempting to be like, what'd you get? How hard was it? You know?
Number 3 says this.
I know. Okay, paradigms. So she said to look at the philosophies of science videos, which don't they just talk about positivism? And she said there's 3 paradigms. There's positivism, interpretive, and conflict. And positivism is absolute truth, like just like the facts.
Scientific.
Yeah. And she said that was what? Family development theory and exchange theory?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand necessarily how. Yeah.
Well, you mean the actual like family development theory because of all the stages? It's probably just been tried and true, you know? After seeing how families work and which stages this happens, that's scientific, you know, observation type thing.
Right.
So that one.
Okay.
Exchange. Let me refresh my memory on what exchange is.
Okay. Here I go, looking through my book. No, isn't that the one where it's like kind of like a give and take? Isn't that the?
Yeah, I think of kids in
course. Quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Social exchange theory.
I really got to put tabs on my stuff here.
You're totally fine. Oh, yeah, that's the one where it's like the basic concept is that human social relationships are understood only between like, do you give me value, do I give you value type of a thing. Like people are like the cost of the relationship.
That's right.
Profit of the relationship. I guess that makes sense because I mean.
But that would also have to be by observation, don't you think? If absolute truth, facts, and linear. So linear makes sense for family development theory. And
I know.
Exchange theory, it would have to be from observation. Don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say. Yeah. Because I don't see that it, although I'm just gonna go with what she said.
Hopefully it's an easy question. Like
I know.
This theory falls under which paradigm? Got it.
Yeah. So then interpretive is it just depends, which that makes sense to me. It's just how you interpret it. It's multi-causality.
Mm-hmm.
not linear, and that's the systems theory and the structural functionalism.
Social interaction, or whatever that was called. Yeah.
Yeah. And then conflict is what we just studied, right? Which is two types of people, the haves and the have-nots.
Yep.
She kept saying, bring oppression to light.
Yes. So people that are oppressed, like the blacks during slavery or women's rights.
Oh.
Then it brings them to light.
Oh, that's why conflict theory and feminist theory isn't. Okay.
So like gay marriage, it used to be that it was all under, no, don't talk about it. So on. Those people are oppressed. So they start talking about it and they bring it to light, and all of a sudden it's legal all over the United States.
Here we are with, yes.
Conflict theory.
Yeah, there it lies in conflict theory.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are pretty easy, I think. And like what makes up a theory, I think we know the concepts, assumption, and propositions. Like that's been pretty wired into our heads. And she just talked about the family development theory and the stages, which I think are pretty easy on the test, kind of, because I think you can kind of just
see them.
Once you get married, then you have children, then they're small preschool, and they're school age, and I understand almost everything in that.
Yeah, that one's pretty, and it's linear. So
yes, yeah. The exchange theory, which she said to focus on the comparison level. So it says, so I always have to try to remember because I always get them confused, the alternative one and the actual exchange theory, or the comparison level, I mean. The alternative comparison level or just the regular one. But the comparison level, she said it's where you evaluate our relationship against what we feel we deserve.
That's which one?
The comparison level, not the alternative, just the normal.
Okay.
So is it more of just like, I feel like I deserve better, and so she said it can include someone in a similar situation. So like, so-and-so and I are going through the same thing, and I feel like I deserve better. Is that the type of a thing?
Yeah, I think so.
I have it right here.
But you're comparing it against somebody who's in your same situation. So you wouldn't compare yourself against somebody, who's been married, like you're doing financial stuff. You'd compare somebody in your same area. You wouldn't compare yourself with a doctor who's been married for 30 years and drives a Porsche or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I see it. I have it in the book right here. So then the comparison level for alternatives is comparing our current situation against another option. So.
Okay. Yeah. Comparison level, in my notes, I have compare our current situation against what we think we deserve. So yeah, that's basically all it said, huh?
Oh, so in the book it says, so like, for example, Nicholas, 15 years from now, may meet another woman who is more physically attractive and exciting than his wife, Alyssa. Because he determines that divorce, having to share custody of his children and changing locations of families involve considerable expenses, Nicholas may decide that leaving his marriage to Alyssa will be, to be with a beautiful new woman is not worth it. So it doesn't always mean that they actually change, right? Like you don't actually go against.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense to me. And then she's talked about the rule of distributive justice.
Mm-hmm.
That's we perceive the give and take in a relationship to be equal. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You distribute, like it makes sense to me. I think that's all she said. Yeah, it's like norms of fairness and equity, that whole.
Yeah, every time on the test when it gives you the option if it's the rule of distributive justice or the norm of reciprocity, I always get those mixed up.
You're right. Okay, so I have it right here. It says the norm of reciprocity, the cornerstone of social exchange, is the social expectation or rule that dictates people should help with those who have helped them. Oh, norm of reciprocity is that because you've helped them before, you expect them to help you back.
Mm-hmm.
But the rule of distributive justice is that two people can just be I guess that's like the same thing now that I'm saying.
That's why I always get them mixed up. I'm like, shoot.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly. She
No.
didn't mention it, but I'm sure
Where's my nature?
if one person assumes most of the words, the other pays the cost. Oh, I guess it kind of makes sense. In the book where it talks about norm of reciprocity, it talks about, like I just mentioned, that they dictate that people should help them because you should help you because you help them. But the rule of distributive justice talks about, like, specifically in a relationship, like, let's look at the rewards and the cost. You know, am I putting more into the relationship than you are? Or, you know, vice versa. We need to make it equal. So it says the partner doing most of the receiving is likely to feel guilty. And the one who's doing most of the giving will probably feel like angry because they're doing everything. And so rule of distributive justice talks about doing it at an equal amount. But I feel like norm of reciprocity is more of like a demanding, like an expectation. I need to write this down.
Let's see. Yeah, I have under norm of reciprocity, we help those who help us. It's the golden rule. Nice proposition, choice of exchange in the family. I don't know why that I wrote that on there, but I did. Oh, that's when we had to know for one of our tests, I think the nice propositions on that one paper, that handout. I don't even remember what they were. That was a long time ago.
I know.
Huh.
Okay, well, I guess I can write that in the discussion board and ask how would you define the difference between rule of distributive justice and norm of reciprocity?
Okay.
Because that makes sense. That doesn't, like, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's not like a defined line where I'm like, I would know that from a question.
They're super close, and you know both of them are going to be there for an answer.
I know, of course.
And then equity is both partners are equally dependent. So that one's in there too. They always put all those options on there. So equity is both partners as equally dependent. More dependent. If you are the more dependent partner, then you have less power. So
wait, isn't that the same as just rule of distributive justice?
That's what I'm saying. They're all the same. So.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So at least in distributive justice, it says perceives the give and take as equal. That doesn't have to be in a relationship, possibly. That could be like if you're selling a car, you know, if one person's paying a lot and the other person feels like, oh, I'm getting over on this guy, then that's not distributive justice. But equity is probably more when you're in a relationship. It's relationship based.
Okay.
Sounds like it at least. We'll go with that.
Okay. We will ask her. Okay, so symbolic interactionism. That was the looking glass self. So we think about how we appear to other people. And she always gives that good example of, you know, and we start to see ourselves the same way people, you know, that you're in front of the crowd giving a talk or something like that. People laugh. Then you start to think, oh, I'm terrible. Yeah. Because everyone's laughing. Or I'm super funny because everyone's that type of a.
Yeah.
Okay. And the I and the me, the I is the immediate reaction to a situation. No social contest. I don't know if I wrote that right.
For the me, learned social experience. Is that what you have?
I have, learned social interactions. Yeah. So her funeral example.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one always helps me because I get in pretty confused. But when I think of like the funeral, like I would initially like want to laugh, but because it's that social setting and I would know.
Yeah. You'd hold it together.
Hold it together. Triangles, 3 people are involved. And then the perverse triangle, unhealthy triangle, hierarchy. So it's like 2 people against 1. And I always think of that like sometimes, you know, like when I was younger or when I was in high school, I guess, sometimes I would try to butt into my parents' conversations and then I tried to side with one and my parents would always after be like, you can't do that. That ruins a relationship when you try to put your father and I against each other. I'm like, oh, such an ignorant teenager. Oh, yes. Now,
I have one of those now.
But now I look back and I totally realize, of course, like you can't do that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Can you have a perverse triangle with God? I forget.
That it talked about that in one of our other classes, and it said yes, but you and your husband are equal, and he's at the top.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Perfect.
Do you have kids yet?
No,
No.
but I found out I'm pregnant.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you. I'm really new. I'm about to go. I mean, I'll be 9 weeks on Friday. I'm gonna go hear the heartbeat on Friday.
Oh, that's so exciting!
I haven't even told my parents. You're the first one.
Oh, thank you.
I know. No, because I don't even know you that well, but I can't tell my parents. They want to tell everybody. And so, no, yeah, I am. So I am like really trying to internalize everything I'm learning now. I feel a little overwhelmed, but it's okay.
It's all coming together now. This is all important stuff.
I know.
Well, be careful with 3 classes. Have you been sick at all yet?
Yeah, it's been terrible.
Oh, no.
It's been very terrible. So I haven't thrown up or anything, but I am always feeling like I'm going to throw up. I'm like nauseous 24/7.
Oh, no.
Everything. I don't want to like eat anything, and then I will, and I'll be like totally fine. And then like 5 seconds, I'll feel like I'm hungry again, but I do not want to. Like, it's just a terrible process. And then I feel like all I want to eat is bread.
Have you tried saltine crackers?
No, I haven't. I actually was reading that. I've been doing like just like wheat thins, but
Yeah.
I know, and I'm working so much, and I'm doing all these classes. Gonna be fun.
It is going to be fun. You'll make it though, because 14 weeks is a very short period of time.
I know. And I'm like, if I don't do it now, I won't finish, and it's gonna be a lot harder for me to do it. So, yeah, I'm excited. But
congratulations!
Thank you, so sweet.
You know what else you get is ginger is really good for tummies when you're not.
Like sipping ginger, or
you can buy like ginger teas, and you can have it hot and cold. So ginger's good.
Did you get sick when you?
I didn't. I had a little bit of morning. I never really threw up. But I did feel yucky, like right around where you are, up until about 12 or 13 weeks. Like nothing sounded good. I felt like I was sick to my stomach, but nothing major. Like some of my friends are hospitalized because they can't keep anything down for months. So
I keep reading those stories, and I'm like, oh, I'm totally fine. Like I don't have it. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, all day. I feel so terrible. Like I feel so bad, and I'm so tired, and I just.
The second trimester is great. You'll love the second trimester.
I heard, and by then people actually know you are, instead of like hiding it and being like, okay, sorry, I just don't feel good today. I'm sorry.
Oh, how exciting!
Thank you.
School, and you can just enjoy the baby.
I know. That's what I'm hoping. I'll be done with school, done with work.
When's your due
date? November 10th.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's so far away. It's good though. It's a good time to be away, because I'll be done with school and I'll still have like 4 months left where I just feel like it's just my husband and I, and I'm not extremely stressed out from school. And
you'll say, honey, at the end of July, I'm yours.
I know. I know. But beforehand, I can't.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my goodness.
Make sure you're healthy for that baby.
Okay.
Okay, back to business.
Oh, my gosh. Everyone in our class is going to know, because I'm recording this.
Oh, well, you know what? Don't post it. Call the teacher and say you can show it to her, but you can't. You said something on there, and just tell her, and she'll be like,
I will. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I cannot.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot. Okay. Structural functionalism. So it's the expressive instrumental roles. I understand those.
Yeah.
Expressive roles. I feel it's more motherly. It's like psychological needs.
Right.
And then instrumental, or the money and the shelter, done by the father. So then she mentioned structure, which is the group or society or whatever group, whoever makes that up. So like whoever makes up a family. So 2 parents, 1 child, 1 parent, 3 children.
Right.
And then the function, I always get a little bit confused. It says a family's function is to procreate and socialize children. She said at the end, like, you have to think about like what function does the structure serve in society?
For the family?
Yeah.
About the family, it's just keeping the human race going. Basically, we serve, to procreate, to keep our society going. But if you think of it in terms of like, a school teacher and her classroom, what's her function? Her function is to teach the students or whatever. That's the structure.
Oh, and the structure is the teacher and the student. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that makes, okay. That was awesome. Thank you.
Sure. If that's right. That's just my thoughts.
No, no, I think that honestly is what it is.
Yes.
Okay, and then systems theory. So I kind of understand this, but I think I missed it on the test because I get confused. It talks about like the boundaries, which determines the family type, which I get. So the open family, I think when she like gave a few examples, I did not do that well in it for some reason. But the open family, they have boundaries, and I understand that one. It's pretty much like the functional family.
Right.
It has love and respect and communication. The random family, though, and the close family, it talks about that there was like, this is what I got confused by. She said there's no boundaries. Sometimes it's unclear who is even in the family. And then in the closed family, she said enmeshed family members. I don't get the difference.
So those are both closed, what you said, when you don't even know who's in the family. I think she's referring to the closed family, don't you?
That's what I thought, but I swear I thought she said it was in the random family.
Oh, it might be because it says there's no boundaries and there's people in and out all the time. So if you have I have a friend, now of course they have a regular family, but they have a very open door policy. So like people come in their house and there's always, kids of kids over, and it's kind of crazy and nobody knows what's going on and it's just kind of chaotic. So I think that's what she's talking about. Like if you were to walk into the home, you wouldn't know who's in this family or not because there's a bunch of people in there. But
oh my gosh, okay.
Probably,
okay.
Yes. Because you wouldn't. Yeah.
So what do you think she means though by the enmeshed family members?
Enmeshed means that they're like so close together they can't function without each other. They're dependent on one another. So they're too close where it stifles growth with other people or relationships with other people. That's my and it's unhealthy. So
yes.
No individual identities because they're so enmeshed together that they all kind of blend.
That was perfect. Thank you. Sure. Okay, and then the positive and negative feedback loops. I thought that Brother Gardner's video was it explained it pretty well. And I understand that.
Yeah. And I get first order change and second order change. Those are understandable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Conflict theory. So I get a little bit confused between. So I know that the thesis is our accepted idea, and then the antithesis.
Yeah, I keep saying antithesis because that's how it's spelled.
Yeah. So that's the opposite.
Yeah.
And then the synthesis is like the result of those two, which becomes the new thesis.
Right.
Okay.
Do you remember the example that Brother Gardner gave on that? He said, so the thesis would be every year we go on a camping trip to Yosemite Park. This is the parents, and they have the standard. And then the children, as they get older, they say, well, we want to go to Disneyland. We don't want to go here. We want to go to Disneyland. So they compromise and they say, okay, we'll go to Disneyland one year and then we'll go camping one year. That becomes the new thesis.
A new thesis. Okay. I was like, I'm trying to think in like scientific like forums. I'm like, this is not clicking.
No, so it's basically like a little bit of a confrontation. They come to a compromise, and that compromise becomes the new
norm. Okay, perfect. Structure. So she went over cooperative and competitive. So competitive, 2 or more people work against each other to like gain scarce resources. And then cooperatives, 2 or more people work together to accomplish the same goal. So each person is equally involved.
Yes.
And they work. Okay.
She used the workplace as an example, which was good.
Yeah.
It can work that way between siblings. It just doesn't usually. They're usually competing for scarce resources.
Yeah. There's always scarce resources and it's competition. Okay, so the conflict theory, and she talked about this and she kept emphasizing it, and I don't know if I understand it as well, but she's kept talking about like the difference between the conflict theory and the conflict paradigm. And she said the conflict paradigm is like a way of seeing the world, and the conflict theory is under the umbrella of conflict paradigm.
Yeah.
It's like more specific and applied to families. Yeah. So do you think she just wants us to know that there's like a conflict paradigm and that conflict theory falls underneath it?
Yeah, and the paradigm is very broad, and the theory is very specific to what it is. So.
Okay. Okay, to what it is. Okay. Feminist theory. Interesting theory.
I kind of struggled with this one a little bit. You know how she said it was her favorite? And I was like, some of these, and I even asked on the questions page, like, hey, can you give me a little bit of information on, I don't remember what it was now, not stratification, or it's not the ones that she talked about. It was the other one. And so she did, and she used the black, that black movement, what's it called? Black Power.
Black Lives Matter? Or
yeah, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
So she used that as the example, and I had to read it a couple times, and I'm like, oh, okay, I think I know she's talking.
What did she say about it?
Well, you have to go through and read it because she takes a quote off of their website, and then in the last 2 paragraphs, she says this paragraph is, I can't even remember the terms right now. Like I said, that one didn't stick too well. They were social deconstruction, social disclosure, and praxis. And so she kind of breaks them down, and after I had to read it like 3 times.
Okay.
So to kind of get them like, okay. But yeah, still not so clear.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I kind of struggled just a little bit just because, well, and even in the, what was it that it asked? Was it in the discuss with a friend, are you a feminist or whatever? Something, it was one of those questions and I was like, am I going to get graded wrong if I say the wrong answer? Or
because in Brother Gardner's thing, he said, if you believe in, that women should have equal say, he said 2 really basic things. So basically, if you're saying those, you're a feminist. And I was like, well, I'm a feminist then. And it was okay to be a feminist.
Right. I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess I should have put that. I was just like, and I explained myself. I did this really long paragraph. I was like, I wouldn't say that I believe that women and men should have equal rights. Because when I think of feminists, I think of all these movements that are going on and the
right.
women that really push forward and for it, and they almost feel offended that, and I just don't feel targeted that way. So I'm always like, maybe I'm not, or women in the priesthood, that whole idea, and I'm just like, I'm okay that I don't have the priesthood, and
yeah, I don't really want that responsibility.
Yeah, no. To be honest with you.
No, I'm good with my little.
I reap the benefits and blessings from it, and I'm okay with not having that responsibility. But
now remember, she did say there's a difference between feminist family theory and the feminist movement. They're 2 different things.
Okay. Oh my gosh! Now that's all. I'm remembering this now.
Yeah.
We should have had this beforehand. Great. She's gonna be like, you didn't understand anything we wrote. Can
I go back and change that because I wasn't?
Yeah. Oh, yikes. Okay, so the feminist theory was privilege, people who are more valued or have more power within the society. Praxis with our beliefs and values are put into action. Oh, okay, so that's kind of more of the movements that people do.
Yeah. Brother Gardner's thing. I took notes. Whatever. I take notes on everything. So it says world feminism, and he said money and status and power, and he said gospel feminism, Zion, humility, all children of God, service and charity. So they both have to do with feminism, but it's a worldly view versus a gospel view.
Okay.
So
I should go back and watch that. I definitely should. I liked the feminism in the light of the gospel article. I actually liked reading that and kind of just seeing.
Yeah, I read that and went, I don't. A lot of the extra readings, I haven't been spending a lot of time on them.
Well, no, I skim. Yes. I liked it, but I skimmed. Yes. So, anyways, and then there was just stratification, and we apply the value to categorization, or others categorization, which applies labels to behaviors. So, blue is a boy. And then stratification was, we see feminine traits better than masculine traits, therefore we treat men better than women. So I think that's
what we at the bottom there, all those assumptions and critiques. Can't forget about all those.
I was just gonna say, I think that's all except for the major portion. Do you think you're just gonna put, maybe one critique for each thing, so you at least have see, I don't know, because every time on the quizzes and stuff like that, it's asked for give me 2 critiques or 1 critique.
And that's what it says here. Question on the possible final exam questions. Choose theories and discuss the main critiques, 2 minimum of the theory. Don't just list the critiques, but be fully able to explain them. So see, but every time they print out one of these, it's not like this on the test.
Right.
So this is like, if you studied for this, it would take a zillion years. You'd really get it, but I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
I say that
I'm
now.
just nervous. I know, right? I'm just nervous that and I feel like the essay parts are gonna be describe the critiques, stuff like that. And if I don't have the knowledge, like extensive knowledge that I need, that I'm not gonna be able to try to force a few words that I don't know.
I know. And the perverse triangles, this one says, number 9 says, communication dynamics. Explain how triangles work to diffuse tension between people. Describe the perverse triangle and how it relates to unrighteous dominion in families. So I would get to that question and be like, blank.
Yeah. Can I read it again?
And then like you have to think through it. And it's like, okay, wait a second.
Yeah.
And that takes me a while to collect my thoughts. So I'm glad there's only 4 essay questions because they take me a long time.
I know. I honestly, you know what I do? I go to them first because like that's where my mind can like be clear, because after I've read through everything, I am mixing up theory after theory. I'm just like, wait, what did I just read? I thought I just saw a question that was similar to this, but now I'm mixing it up because it doesn't even apply to this. So I always go to the essay question first.
And they're always at the end, huh?
They're always at the end. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Just because I feel like then my mind isn't like always like jammed with, you know, trying to reach back so far in my mind for what were some of these answers. And now I'm like,
right. Although sometimes as you go through the multiple choice questions, it gives you answers and that jogs your memory of something you can put in your essay.
I agree. So then once I go through it, then I've done it one of the other essays, and I think it was the last essay or last test, and I went through and I erased a complete essay, and I was like, I did not understand that like I thought. Terrible. But
yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna email this to her, and then I'm gonna post in the discussion questions the difference between, what was it again? It was equity
and
reciprocity and rule of distributive justice.
Yeah, and then what was the question I was gonna ask at the beginning? We talked about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll ask that. Shoot, I don't remember it.
Positive, negative correlations.
Oh yeah.
Or no? Was that it? No.
Yeah, that was the graph.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll be good.
Thank you so much for being here and being ready.
Sure. And I was like, oh, sometimes it's nice with just 2 people because there's not all the people chiming in. So
you can go back and forth. I agree.
Yeah. Why don't you turn off the recording?
Okay.